You from our studio here at Adisa Way in Accra. I am Martin Sedudate. Coming up for the next 1 hour, we'll be giving you an update on the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris's visit to Ghana. Now, she is expected to announce a $139 million aid package for Ghana for the next year as she meets President Akufo-Addo on day one of her 3-day official visit to the country. Also in the bulletin, former president and the 2024 flag bearer hopeful of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, appears before the vetting committee as party begins processes for presidential and parliamentary primaries. And later in the sporting component of the bulletin, Black Stars coach Chris Hughton is expected a tough game in Luanda as Black Stars hope to secure a full point against Angola in the second fixture of the AFCON qualifiers. On the international front, tens of thousands of people take to the streets across Israel after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu fired his defense minister. We have details of all these stories and more for you for the next 1 hour. Stay with us. Let's settle for them now. U.S. Vice President Her Excellency Kamala Harris is expected to announce a $139 million aid package for Ghana for next year as she meets President Akufo-Addo on day one of a 3-day working visit to Ghana. It is one of the key things that the two leaders would discuss together with another $100 million package to support conflict prevention and stabilization efforts in Benin, Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Guinea, and Togo. The office of the U.S. Vice President noted in a statement that the plan is intended to address regional threats of violent extremism and instability in coastal West Africa. Washington will also deploy an advisor to Ghana from its Office of Technical Assistance to help the country improve its debt sustainability and support in competitive, dynamic, and government debt market. So we are staying on this, and we know that the meeting is about to start. Daniel Opoku is our correspondent who is following the Vice President of Ghana, who yesterday met Madam Kamala Harris. Daniel, good afternoon to you. What exactly is the position right now? What has happened at the meeting, we are told, which is commencing?
Right. So the Vice President her meeting scheduled with the President was around 11 a.m. where a guard was mounted for her to inspect. Right after that, she came to the Jubilee House to have pleasantries with the President. And the President also was supported by his wife, the First Lady, and also the Vice President, and also other government officials. Right after that, currently, a press conference is here to be convened between the President of Ghana and the Vice President of USA. The press conference has not yet started, as I said to you. But in the morning, what they were able to do was to extend pleasantries, and the President also introduced the various sector ministers to the Vice President of the United States of America, where she also had some client meetings with the Vice President of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Baumia, and she was also introduced the Minister of Trade, Mr. K.C. Hammond, and other hosts of sector ministers who are currently gathered in at the Jubilee House for them to have a private meeting.
All right, thank you very much, Daniel Opoku. He will be joining us later with updates of the meeting between U.S. Vice President and her Ghanaian counterpart, that is Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, in later bulletins. But we are staying on the subject matter this time around. Let's go to the United States of America, Washington specifically, and engage the thoughts of Calvin Dark, who is himself an international relations and political analyst. Thank you very much, Calvin, for your time, and good afternoon to you from Ghana.
Good afternoon. Good to be here.
Right, to start with, we know that the U.S. Vice President's arrival in Ghana has raised many interesting subjects of discussion both in the U.S. and in Ghana. But first of all, we would want to find out from you, her decision to come to Ghana is a follow-up on the U.S.-Africa Summit which took place in December last year. What, in your estimation, is the U.S. hoping to gain from this renewed interest in partnering with African countries, countries like Ghana?
Yes, you're exactly right that this visit is a further step of follow-up from the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit that happened here in D.C. This past December. Because one of the things I remember that was the theme of this summit that President Biden said many times is that the U.S. is all in for Africa's future. And we know that this year we've seen several high-level visits to the continent from the Secretary of the Treasury, the First Lady. Now we have the Vice President of the United States. So I think this is an attempt by the Biden administration to really show that they meant what they said. And I think that what the U.S. is trying to do is trying to get U.S.-Africa relations where it should be. It's woefully not where it should be. And I think that's going to take a long time. It's going to take a lot of effort. But these are concrete steps that the Biden administration is doing to help start that process.
Right. And we've also had reports, in the international media that the increased China and Russia engagements on the continent of Africa could be one of the reasons why the United States also wants to immediately step in and see how it can grow its friends and partners on the continent. Is that assertion true? Is there any reality to that?
Now, I don't think you'll hear Vice President Harris or anyone from the administration saying it, but I'll tell you, I think that is definitely at least one of the goals for this increased partnership. And I think for two reasons. One is every country, when they work or invest outside their borders, it should be for their interest. And the United States knows that for countries on the African continent that are our allies, they can't be the allies we need them to be if they are in asymmetrical relationships with China or Russia. But then I think the other point is that the United States wants to provide an alternative to increase relations with Russia and China, because we know that a lot of times those partnerships aren't equal and they aren't good for the continent. And if it's not good for the continent, it's not good for that first goal I mentioned of really getting U.S.-Africa relations where they should be. So I think that's definitely a goal, although it's not going to be explicitly stated, I don't think, during this visit of the Vice President.
Right, and you are absolutely right if you say that the U.S. Vice President will not, or nobody on her team will mention that specific angle. She actually has been saying something. She says her visit will focus on increasing investment on the continent and build long-term economic growth and strengthen business ties. It looks like Africa is just on the receiving end, but is there anything that we are likely to have to give? Because we do not believe there is any free lunch anywhere, is there?
No, no such thing as a free lunch in Ghana or in the United States. But what I think, in partnerships, there's obviously giving and receiving. And I think that part of what the United States is trying to do in providing this aid, this assistance, technical assistance, as well as financial, is to help, one, the economies in Africa, in this case, particular in Ghana, to encourage entrepreneurship, to really give help to that generation of young business leaders. And the reason is that we hope once this happens, once that development and progress gets to where it should be, the United States can receive too. And not just the government, but private sectors. We want businesses in Africa to do business with American companies and vice versa. So while it may seem that, Ghana's only receiving and other African countries are only receiving, if we do it right, it will be a win-win, give and take for both sides.
Right. And finally, Calvin, what should we expect after her visit? She'll be here for 3 days from Ghana. She's going to Tanzania and then Zambia. Like you mentioned, other high-profile government officials from the U.S. have visited the continent. After these visits, what should we expect going forward?
Well, I think one of the things that Vice President Harris knows is that obviously she has to earn the trust of the leaders she's going to meet, that the commitment from the United States to improve U.S.-Africa relations is genuine. But she also realizes that even if she earns that trust, it has to be coupled with tangible programs, initiatives, and efforts, not only at the government level, but in the private sector as well. The United States has to encourage U.S. businesses to look at Africa as a place of opportunity for business. So I think what we will see after this is what are the tangible programs, initiatives, and efforts that were born from this and other high-level visits that people can count on and look to in the years to come.
Pleasure talking to you, Calvin Duck. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
He is a political and international relations analyst, helping us understand the visit of U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris to the African continent. She's starting her 9-day working visit from Ghana, 3 days here, then she'll go to Tanzania and then to Zambia. We'll definitely be updating you in subsequent bulletins how all of this rolls out. In other news this afternoon, the leadership of the opposition National Democratic Congress, the NDC, is facing an uphill task of convincing its rank and file that it is committed to keeping government on its toes. After some MPs defied the party and voted to approve President Akufo-Addo's ministerial nominees, sources within the party tell TV3 that an investigation into the matter will be conducted within the next 30 days. Alfred Okanse has more on the following updates.
George Kweku-Hagan gave an indication of this particular point one, that first issue that's under investigation. Take a look at this.
You could see that in the numbers. That is to do with friends, people on the NDC side who are friends and family of some of the nominees.
Two, some senior NDC MPs who are not happy about the timing of the change in leadership. They are said to have engineered the sabotage by influencing some members of parliament of the NDC because of their relationship with the previous leadership of the NDC minority in parliament. I'm talking about the Haruna Iddrisu-led leadership.
There is a group or a small group who were not happy with events and that they are out there basically to sabotage the new executives. It was a clear undermining of Honorable Atufoson's leadership.
Now, the third issue that our source says is going to be investigated is all first-time NDC MPs. Now, this is because, according to our source, their inexperience and vulnerability may have got them influenced by some of the ministerial nominees and some senior NDC MPs who led the sabotage.
There are some people who don't see the collective interests of what we are trying to achieve as a party, and that they are more interested in themselves making money as quick as they can.
So what you're saying is that some NDC MPs were bribed, they took money?
Absolutely, no doubt.
The fifth issue, which according to our source is going to be investigated in the next 30 days, is a young member of parliament. In fact, that young NDC MP, it's an MP in the Greater Accra region, a constituency in the Greater Accra region, who has a past record of engineering a previous sabotage. Now, the sixth issue, according to our source close to the NDC leadership, is the video evidence of the NDC minority MPs while they were voting during the secret balloting in Parliament. Now, our source is saying that the NDC leadership has obtained the videos, the video evidence of the MPs while they were voting, and they have a mechanism already in place to identify those who went contrary to the party's directives. So that video of the voting process has been secured. The seventh and final issue, which is going to be a subject of investigation according to our source, is the deep contacts of the approved Food and Agriculture Minister and MP for Abetifi, Brian Acheampong. So in the next 30 days or more, we'll watch closely how things will play out within the NDC after this investigation.
All right, so as your Election Command Center, certainly will be keeping tabs on all of these developments and keep you posted subsequently. Still within the camp of the NDC, though, some minority MPs have agreed to consequences they should suffer for breaking party's three-line whip to reject the president's ministerial nominees. 3 days after what many have described as a disappointment, the NDC MPs are calling for a total responsibility and an apology to Ghanaians.
On Friday night, I did not sleep. The next day in the morning, I missed supper. I couldn't even take supper, breakfast. I couldn't take it because of all that happened. And I'm thinking that as a caucus, we really need to sit down and think of the 1.5 years that is ahead of us. We have a CI coming before us. We have a lot of loans coming before us. And what are we going to do about all these things? The 1.5 years that is left, what are we going to do? In fact, we need some soul searching to be able to overcome this issue. We have failed ourselves, we have failed the party, and we have failed Ghanaians, and we simply need to apologize.
Do you think, despite the apology that you're saying, there should be some bit of investigation by the party hierarchy into the conduct of you minority MPs? I'll call on any measure that will let people who deviated from what the party asked us to do, from what we ourselves, indeed, it is we ourselves who agreed to do it before we sent it to the party and the party endorsed it. It is not a party. The party endorsed it for us. And so, in fact, I agree with anybody. So from my understanding, you, the minority NDC MPs, agreed to reject these nominees before you took it to the party.
Exactly. Exactly. The party was only supposed to endorse what we have agreed on. And they did that for us. They did that for us. And Ghanaians generally endorsed what we're doing. And so I don't know where the deviation came from. I don't know where the alternative even came from. We don't have to, in fact, we cannot forgive ourselves. We cannot forgive ourselves.
All right, so we are staying in the camp of the NDC, in fact, specifically at the headquarters of the NDC, where former President and NDC 2024 flag bearer hopeful John Dramani Mahama has just completed his vetting after meeting the committee and definitely has been answering questions on what he intends to do should the party give him the mandate to lead them. Let's listen to him moments after he completed that vetting, which took a few actually less than a few hours, because many were expecting that beyond that he would stay. And after him, we're also expecting Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, who is a former governor of the Bank of Ghana and also former finance minister, I should say. And there is Kojo Bonsu, who is also in the race, hoping to be flag bearer of the NDC. So beyond John Dramani Mahama, the party is expected to vet all these people. And these are the presidential aspirants or flag bearer aspirants. Across the country, we are also told that the parliamentary candidates are also undertaking their vetting exercises across the country. We'll be touching base with our correspondents to update you on that. But let's listen to what John Dramani Mahama said moments after he completed his vetting.
I was asked questions about the party.
All right, so we apologize for that slight technical glitch. What we're doing is that we just want to make sure that we have the full edit of what exactly former President John Dramani Mahama has been saying. He's about to tell us what some of the questions were that he was asked when he met the vetting committee. And you could also tell that not just him, but quite a number of party supporters thronged the party headquarters, all in support of the former president, who is seeking the mandate of the NDC to lead them into the 2024 elections. Here at your Election Command Center, we'll be updating you not just on what John Mahama will be saying and doing, but then all the other candidates as well and aspirants for the various parliamentary positions. It's going to be an interesting next few months ahead of us. So we will try and get that fixed and then bring it to you, so you would also be part of the national conversation when it has to do with political party activities in Ghana. Stay with us. There is more right after this.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to demonstrate to you the superior properties of Flamingo paint as compared to other paint brands on the market. We take equal quantities of Flamingo paint and this ordinary paint. We then dilute them with water. And now, let the test begin. The gentleman on the left is going to apply the ordinary paint, and the gentleman on my right will use the Flamingo superior paint. As you can clearly see, Flamingo has the obvious better hiding. Furthermore, Flamingo has painted a much larger area. You know, one bucket of Flamingo paint is equal to several buckets of any other paint brand on the market. Flamingo paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
Pepsodent is aware that globally, 1 in 2 children suffer from cavities. That's why by giving her Pepsodent, you're not only protecting her teeth, but also helping her grow up and thrive at every stage of her life with a healthy and confident smile, so she can succeed and achieve all of her dreams. Because every smile matters.
You know what I love? My family, my friends, and of course you. And that's why I found it important to get the COVID jab. Also, I want you to go and take the jab so we can all live a happy and healthy life for a long time. The numbers are rising. That means COVID is still out there. Go and get the jab. The vaccine is safe. Of course, I love my life.
No matter where,
the capital is always tuned in their offices.
You have been to PSC before, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. In their retail centers.
Even in their busy marketplaces.
Oh, should that some like what? And in their cars.
Even in their homes and in their rooms, they listen. The capital is always tuned in.
Yes, we run the city here on 3FM 92.7.
Your Urban Lifestyle Radio.
Join Giovanni and AJ Sapon on 3FM Drive 92.7 Monday to Friday from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. We run the city on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio station.
his debut. Ghana coming out again, the same squad. For LeBron, he's got it! Throw it down, King!
Sports Station, Mondays, 9 p.m. on TV3.
Sports Station is brought to you by Betway, Nesta Mouthwash.
Welcome back to Midday Live on TV3. We're going back to our subject having to do with the NDC vetting, which has started today. So we're going to now listen to the former President John Dramani Mahama, who is hoping to be the flag bearer of the party again going into 2024.
I was asked questions about the party, how to strengthen the party, the electoral process. I was asked about Parliament, how to strengthen our group in Parliament. But most of all, I was asked questions about the country and my views for repairing our damaged economy and also improving governance in Ghana. It was a very serious interview. And I do think that because of the experience I have, the committee must have been impressed at the delivery that I gave. But the work starts now, and I don't underestimate the onerous responsibility I'm taking upon myself. We all know the situation we have in our dear country, Ghana. It needs all of us to step up to the plate and try to rescue this country and put it back on its feet. And so I have offered myself on May 13th, we will go to our primaries, both for presidential and parliamentary. I wish to extend my wishes of good luck to all our parliamentary candidates who are standing, and it is my wish that we will elect very good persons who can win us the majority of seats in Parliament, because we would need a majority in Parliament to be able to execute the agenda that we have when we come into office. It is my hope that my colleagues with whom I am standing for the presidential primaries, we would come together as one after I have emerged as the presidential candidate. That we will rally together in order to ensure that NDC wins a victory in the 2024 elections. We're going to have two main agendas for a new NDC government. Of course, the first one will be taking steps to revitalize our economy and put it back on its feet. And of course, having served under Professor Tamils and one term under my own leadership, we all saw how we managed to repair our economy, and for the first time in the history of Ghana, in 2016, we financed the government of Ghana budget without a single CD from the Bank of Ghana. Today, this administration currently owes the Bank of Ghana 50 billion cedis. We're going to bring discipline back into our finances. That is the first order of work we have. The second order of work is to repair our governance systems, to guarantee that the media can work freely without harassment from any quarters, to guarantee that corruption will be fought without the president clearing anybody, to guarantee that the anti-corruption institutions will have a free mandate to carry out their duty against anybody, whoever you are, to make sure that CSOs have space to be able to express themselves without fear or favor, to ensure that we review our Constitution to make it a more dynamic document to take us into the future. These are some of the issues that will be on our agenda for a new NDC government. And so I want to thank all of you who have accompanied me here today. We've almost finished the process for the primaries. The next step will be the balloting to determine the positions on the ballot paper. And then after that, we'll have the Electoral Commission assist us with the printing of the ballots and all the other preparations for the primaries. And so I wish that we conduct it in an atmosphere of peace, and that after I have won the primaries, we shall all come together as one family and fight the...
Right, so that is former President John Dramani Mahama there. Certainly in subsequent bulletins, we will be subjecting all of this to some analysis and see how it is playing out across the country regarding how the parliamentary candidates are also undertaking their vetting. In other news this afternoon, statistics available to the National Road Safety Authority has shown a continuous reduction in road traffic crashes, injuries and death from 2022 through to the beginning of 2023. The provisional figures gathered from the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service indicate that there were consistent month-by-month case reductions in 2022. This year, the month of January and February also saw reductions in road traffic-related incidents. We'll let you see in a bit the specific figures and how these numbers, according to the Road Safety Authority, are gradually coming down. That is a part on the back of all Ghanaians, especially all road users, on how we have, joined the rallying call to be more responsible on our roads, especially drivers. So these figures are from 2022 and then compared to the first 2 months of 2023. As of last year, we had 14,960 crashes. There were 15,690 injuries, and unfortunately in 2022 we lost 2,373 human lives to motor accidents. In 2023, first 2 months, January, February, we had 2,222 crashes, 2,452 injuries, and in just 2 months, over 300 human lives have been lost due to road accidents, and so 321 the figure we had. So those are comparative figures we are getting from last year, 2022, and then 2023. So in percentage terms, 15.35% reduction in crashes, 8.27% reduction in injuries, and then 31.56% reduction in deaths. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the head of corporate affairs for the National Road Safety Authority, Pearl Satekla. Hello, Pearl. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm the public officer.
Deputy. All right. So commendations to you and to all Ghanaians and road traffic users. But from the information you've gathered and your analysis, what can you say is accounting for this gradual reduction in fatalities and accidents on our roads?
Thank you very much for inviting me to your studios this afternoon. Greetings to your good self, your cherished viewers and listeners, and also to Mr. Steven Satekla, my husband, is watching, and I know. And so it is the effective collaboration between NRSA and other stakeholders, transport operators, the transport unions, MTTD of Ghana Police Service, NGOs like Bloomberg, CATS International, Street Sense, individuals that are passionate about road safety management, and especially the media, who opens their doors for us to even air our campaign jingles, educational materials free of charge. All these stakeholders have greatly contributed to the reduction we see in road crash and traffic situation in the country.
Right. And maybe briefly, we know that unfortunately this weekend we recorded quite a number of fatalities on the Bong Road and other places. What information have you gathered? Do we know what caused these accidents, and what are the steps to further encourage people to be more responsible on the roads?
All right, thank you very much. Rather unfortunate that this weekend we didn't hear any good news on our roads in the country. About 17 people reportedly dead and several others injured in two separate crashes in the country. We share the pain of the bereaved family, and we pray to God that the injured at the hospital recover quickly and join us to build Mother Ghana. The report seems to direct the contributory factor to excessive speeding once, and then the stationary broken down vehicles on the road. Because since most of the drivers, in an attempt to veer up their lane to dodge the facing vehicle and on top speed collide into oncoming vehicles. If the speeds were down, they may not, the fatality may not have been high as it is being recorded. So excessive speeding, and in all our campaign messages and educational messages, we'll be reiterating the fact that excessive speeding contributes about 60% of the crashes, and this resulted in injuries and deaths in the country. But it seems all the education we are doing and the campaign drive has fallen into deaf ears, and what we want to do now is to collaborate with police to see how effective enforcement can be put in place. We now want to do away with the manual way of enforcing road traffic regulation and go into technology. Digitization of enforcement of road traffic regulation. That is the way to go. And God being so good, all the education about digitization of road traffic is completed. We are now left with deploying cameras on the various stretch of our roads, even in cars, to detect infractions on the part of drivers on our way. And I think this is the way to go now.
Pearl, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Pearl Satekla, Deputy Head of Corporate Affairs, National Road Safety Authority. So, bottom line, be more responsible, kill your speed before the speed kills you. Thank you for staying with us. This is still Midday Live on TV3. We have more for you right after this. Stay with us.
Open your eyes. People fall and they rise. Make you no worry about the things you know we change. The things you know we do today. You go do them tomorrow.
Wow, this girl's got talent. You too can change your world, and it's affordable with Airtel Tigo data bundles.
Bring your dreams to life with the best data bundles only on Airtel Tigo. Dial *111# now.
Airtel Tigo. Life is simple.
Zest Consult is the best place for your IELTS, SAT, and GRE tuition. The IELTS facilitates study, work, and live abroad. The SAT and GRE facilitate study abroad on scholarships. Zest Consult has an amazing track record of training around 4,000 students, nurses, midwives, and many others who have excelled in these examinations and realized their study and work abroad dreams. Contact us if you really want to study on scholarship. Zest Consult also provides real estate, automobile, and IT solution services. We can help you buy or sell lands and buildings and rent office spaces or accommodation. We can also help you obtain a car loan or buy or sell a car. If your institution needs a stunning website and amazing amazing software, then contact us. You can call or WhatsApp us on 0555 631 633 or 050 909 2330. You can locate us at Kumasi Cultural Center and the Chamsume 5 inside Willas Towers. Zest Consult, excellence is our hallmark.
It's Messi, 2-0 to PSG. It's a brilliant, brilliant goal. Cristiano Ronaldo continues his record. Really away. What a dream debut. Ghana coming out again, the same squad. For LeBron, he's got it! Throw it down,
Sports Station, Mondays 9 p.m. on TV3.
Sports Station is brought to you by Betway, Nesta Mouthwash.
When the sun rises, there is hope. While this hope lingers on, the citizens look up to the government, the economy, the national development agenda, and everything in between. On Ghana Tonight, it's our utmost priority to bring you insightful conversations on the economy, break down the biggest issues while setting the agenda for transformation and national development. The big and important stories are treated from the human interest angle, while the facts and the figures are painted with precision. So now, let's cut the convention and start the conversation here on Ghana Tonight. I am your host, Alfred Okamsi.
Ghana Tonight shows Monday to Friday at 10 p.m. on TV3.
It was my pleasure to honor a woman who has opened her doors to hundreds of vulnerable children over the years.
Loves me.
A woman who is a true inspiration, a woman who is a national hero.
I want the best for you as your mother. Amen.
A woman by the name of
Mary Clove.
My honor to award you with Community Builder of the Year. I've done everything you've asked. Everything.
I know what it is like to grow up without love. Thank you. No one will stand in my way.
Isono shows Mondays to Thursdays at 8 p.m. on TV3.
Brought to you by
MTN.
Just live on TV3, this is Midday Live. Time now for business. Parkway CSR joins us in studio.
Right, Martin, thank you very much. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the very latest in the world of business. Let's start off with happenings at the Bank of Ghana, because the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has just increased the policy rate by 150 basis points to 29.5% as it moves to mop up excess liquidity on the market. The latest hike is the 8th since November 2021, totaling a 15 percentage point increase. The increase comes as Ghana struggles with one of its worst economic crises and is pushing to secure a bailout program from the International Monetary Fund. Many analysts had expected the NPC to reduce the policy rate as inflation slows, but the bank has increased the rate, arguing the market is awash with liquidity. The excess liquidity stems from the lack of investment options, which has forced investors to resort to treasury bills for some returns. The policy rate is usually indicative of the rate at which commercial banks borrow from the central bank and will often determine the rate at which you borrow from your commercial bank. In other news this hour, government missed its target for treasury bills for the first time in 4 weeks after forcing yields down more than 15 percentage points. This means investors have finally reacted to the huge drop in interest rates on the money market. The target was missed by nearly 24%. Right, so this is coming at a very interesting time. Over the past few weeks, we've seen Treasury bill rates oversubscribed. We've also seen the interest rates go down. But this is the very first time in several weeks we've seen the Treasury bill undersubscribed.
The Treasury bill auctions were oversubscribed for several weeks, despite the government dropping rates from the 35% levels. Last week, the Treasury targeted to raise 3.2 billion cedis, but realized 2.4 billion cedis, representing nearly 24% undersubscription. Bids received, which had been very strong recently, also dropped from 3.89 billion cedis 2 weeks ago to 2.4 billion cedis last week. The dip in demand for Treasury bills may have come from the interest rate drop. But some analysts believe the undersubscription is due to uncertainty surrounding the external debt restructuring, which has forced investors to adopt a wait-see approach. Treasury bills have been a key revenue stream for the government since last year, when it was priced out of the international capital markets. This means failing to meet its target could be problematic for the government finances as it scrambles to secure IMF board approval for a much-needed $3 billion loan.
In other news this hour, government has assured that payments on the principal of the 2-year note, which matured on February 20, as well as payments on subsequent maturities, will be communicated in due course. This follows a payment of additional coupons last Thursday. The payments, according to a release by the Finance Ministry, cover coupons on both the 2-year note that matured on February 20 and the 20-year notes that was due on February 20. Now, according to the ministry, it is taking steps to ensure a restoration of Ghana's macroeconomic stability. However, the Pensioner Bondholders Forum has expressed disquiet about the manner in which government is handling the payment of matured bonds. The group, we understand, is unhappy and will issue a statement in the coming days. Now, economists with the Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana believe the country is likely to go back to the International Monetary Fund should the current negotiations be successful. They observe what Ghana needs is homegrown solutions and building the capacity of anti-corruption institutions. Right, so we're unfortunately unable to bring you that soundbite due to some technical challenges. That's all for the business news segment here on Midday Live. My name is Pa Kwesi Asare. For more business news stories, do well to visit our website, www.3news.com.
You are a major stakeholder in nation building. Your voice matters. Start your day with us.
We simplify the conversations, break down the jargons and technicalities. We keep you well informed throughout the week. Start your day with us.
Knowledge is power. We put you in the know of the happenings in Ghana and the world over. The main reason why you need to start your day with us.
We give the leaders the mandate to govern our affairs. We have a responsibility to hold them to account. It begins here. Start your day with us. Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7.
Start your day well informed.
start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiampofo, William Asiedu,
and Noble Crosbyan.
Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7, your urban lifestyle radio.
Warriors after just 7 months and a week in charge. Management of Asante Kotoko Sporting Club and coach Seydou Zebo have this morning agreed to mutually part ways. A club statement read, U-team boss Abdoulaye Ghazaleh has been placed as caretaker manager. Zebo was in charge of 22 matches where he won 9, 7 draws and 6 losses recorded and will walk away with a 1-month salary payoff. Former editor of the Asante Kotoko Express, Jerome Otri. Jerome, Zebo has finally been sacked. Is his dismissal the right option for Asante Kotoko at this moment?
So, and some of us saw this coming very early in the day. After 6-7 games, I felt that this wasn't a coach that would stay. And we made it public, and some of our fans thought that it's because in their minds we have something against the management. That's why we said that. But if you've monitored the coach and how he's performed over the course of 20 games, I mean, I believed right after the 6th or 7th game that he wasn't a coach that would be helpful. And it's very unfortunate that maybe managers of the club didn't see it early and had to allow him to come to this point. Well, they are in charge of the club, and you would always want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But clearly, this is not a decision that surprises me or anyone who saw this coming very early.
All right. Now, Jerome, what should be the direction of Asante Kotoko now that Ghazaleh from the U team is taking charge on an interim basis?
I think Ghazaleh should be able to steer the club out of the patchy performance it has had. If he's able to do that, that will be enough for maybe the rest of the matches in the season. And then it will afford the management time to look at appointing a substantive coach.
All right. Now, Jerome, before you leave us, it's been a poor season for Asante Kotoko. Do you think the problem is managerial, technical, is just from the quality of players that Kotoko has?
Well, any way you look at it, it is somebody that takes the decision. I mean, it is the management that takes the decision. So if it is with player quality that is poor, the players did not come to the club by themselves. Somebody recruited them. If it is a technical team that has also not got its decisions right, you have to go back and ask who put them there. And so, however you look at it, it's got a problem to do with who is making decisions. And some of us have said that everything that is happening has got to do with decision making. And once you get decision making right, you should expect that the consequences will be positive. If it goes wrong, same thing applies.
All right, thank you so much, Jerome Otri, former editor for the Asante Kotoko Express. Well, later at 4 p.m, we'll be bringing you a live radio commentary on 3FM for the Angola-Ghana game in the AFCON 2023 qualifiers. Now, Emian defender Nicholas Opoku is a late inclusion in the Black Star squad after Ghana has just 2 defenders in Daniel Amate and Joseph Edu left. Chris Hutton explains why he called Opoku.
I know Nicholas. I don't know him as well as what some of the staff members here do and the players here. So it was good to see him not so long ago and reintroduce himself to the players. So this was good. I've watched a lot of games, video. I can tell you now, not so much live because it's difficult to get around to watch so many live games. But I've always known of Nicholas. I know his strengths. He needs no introduction. He's somebody that comes in that has played games before. So that transition is easy. It's easy for him to come into the squad. think I felt that we was covered enough in the offensive positions, and instead of bringing 2 defenders in, because we've lost 2 defenders, I thought we'd just get the balance right to bring in 1, because I think we have a couple of players that can play in a couple of positions. So, and I didn't want to bring in too many players. But
that'll be all for sports this afternoon here on Media Live Entertainment News with Noella up next. Time for entertainment news. Noella is here with us.
Yes, definitely. I mean, even before we go into those stories, we know that the U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris is in Ghana, and she's expected to meet some Ghanaian creatives later this afternoon. So we're supposed to see, some of them share ideas on how to grow the space locally. Right. So we're definitely looking forward to that. And we'll be bringing you updates in the subsequent bulletin. But also our first story, there's been divided attention as to who deserves to be in the VGMA Best New Artist of the Year category. Now, whilst others believe every nominated artist deserves the recognition, others also think otherwise. Some showbiz pundits had this to say about the New Artist of the Year category.
Last year, J Bad had a very huge, a breakthrough. And I don't think that J Bad is a new artist because per the definition, promising. J Bad had a breakthrough 2 years before the year under review. And also someone like Rabna, who also released a song 2009. So I think that going forward, for the 25th anniversary, that's next year, I think that they need to check the parameters in which they say this is a new artist to the scheme. They need to check the longevity, they need to check, the inroads of the person in the music industry.
When we say something is relatively new,
Relatively
new.
Relatively.
Yeah.
And it says establishes the public identity of the artist within the year. So you could have been there for 10 years, but maybe...
These individuals we are talking, some of them have even released 3 albums already. Yes, my own Rabna is having about 3 albums.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that unless maybe they could have just say best big surprise of the year 2020, they could have just find it, because the problem there, the word that is confusing the public now has to do the new. Because when in our parlance, when you say something is new, they say new artist of the year. Maybe this year Roland released a new song and it became a hit. Next year Roland is a new artist. You understand? But for Roland to release 4 songs, 4 albums, and then this year he got a hit song, and then you give him a category for new artist of the year, you are not being fair to his brand. Because then we are trying to cement some kind of ideology that the VGMA is the only institution that establishes an artist as the status of an artist. No. Artists have been there even before VGMA came. There were artists recording. We don't need to use award schemes to really cement artists to prove that artists have arrived. No. When we do, the moment we do that, the moment awards are over, the artists become redundant. And so we need to then look at this thing very carefully and then look at it next.
Well, that's it for entertainment here on Media Live. My name is Noella Martin. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Let's find out what's happening on the international front.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is under immense pressure over controversial judicial reforms that he wants to push through. The changes to the country's judicial system have provoked an outpouring of anger from nearly all parts of Israeli society, including its powerful military. Tens of thousands took to the streets in anger on Sunday evening after Netanyahu fired his defense minister, who had called for a pause on the changes. Police and soldiers used water cannon on demonstrators gathered outside Netanyahu's home in Jerusalem.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for watching. Our website, 3news.com, has many more stories for you. I am Martin Asiedu Datib. Have a good afternoon, and as always, stay positive. Bye.
The old narrative of a woman only belonging to the kitchen